It's spring cleaning time. Got goods to give away? Maybe bulky furniture, gently used clothing, or quality household goods. Call St. Vinny's at 608-278-2920, extension 1, to schedule your free home pickup today. Staff are quick, reliable, and efficient, and they'll pick up goods anywhere across Dane County. Take a load off. Call St. Vinny's today. It's easy to sit back and look for good things in the world, but what if we could be the good? Goodman Community Center has been a force for good for over 70 years. Now Goodman wants to challenge you to be the good. What can you do to make our community, our country, and our world a better place? Learn more about how you can be a part of what's good at Goodman at goodmancenter.org. Together, we can strengthen lives and secure futures. Today on CityCast Madison. Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. Are you ready to go to the theater? The 2025-2026 Overture season is out and packed with thespian goodness. Plus, our city clerk has formally stepped down. And why is there so much chatter about urban triage? It's Friday, April 18th. I'm executive producer Haley Sperling, and here's what Madison's talking about. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. We are switching things up this week. Of course, I am not Bianca Martin. I am Haley Sperling, the executive producer of this podcast. And joining me today is a special guest and friend of the show, Cap Times food and culture editor, Lindsay Christians. Hi, Lindsay.
Hello.
Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. We're so stoked to have you here.
Thank you.
And of course, joining us is our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. How goes it, Rob?
It goes fantastic. I'm so excited that my friend Lindsay is here. It's like a jolt of caffeine.
Yay.
Let's start the day.
It's a bestie chat for Rob and Lindsay, truly.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Yeah. You're bestie too, Haley. We're all besties here.
We're all bestie here. Well, Lindsay, you're kicking us off this week as our guest of honor. You've got the details on the freshly announced Overture Center 2025-2026 season. Tell us about it. Lay it on me.
So this was all announced last night at Overture Center in a big announcement that they do on the stage, and they play little clips of all the shows. I'm going to focus, I think, mostly on the Broadway Across America tours that are coming through, because the least attended of one of these shows, like the Tootsie that comes through, right, gets like 10,000 people attending.
And no shame to Tootsie, right?
Oh.
Tootsie was better than Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman was rough.
Yikes.
But, you know, like there are shows that Madison just maybe doesn't go for, but even those, it's like 10,000 people go. So I want to start out, because of my dear friend Rob, with the musicals that were inspired by movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Take us there.
So first
Finally,
of all,
my Alien Resurrection musical's coming to Overture. I can't wait.
I bet that exists. I bet that exists. I feel like everything in life can be related to musical theater. Like,
Yeah, some fringe festival somewhere has done that.
Yeah.
Hey, Madison, we did Paul Blart the musical, so
We did.
you know,
True.
we could do Alien Resurrection. I'm here for it, Rob. I'm down to make it happen.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
So the first musical that's coming that is based on a movie is Some Like It Hot. So 1959 musical, kind of like movie with music, right? Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon. I forget who the other
Tony
guy
Curtis.
was. Tony Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have Sugar Cane, who's the Marilyn character. We have, the two guys. It's Prohibition era Chicago, and they're escaping, like they watch a mob hit or something, and they're escaping a gangster
Oh, fun.
by joining an all-woman band. And pretending to be
Oh,
women.
spicy.
I mean, it's basically Tootsie, so we'll see how it goes.
I was going to say, this sounds like
Ooh,
Tootsie.
I mean, that's not that far off. But it's very fun. Again, like Prohibition era. It's a lot of dancing, a lot of fun music. I think that the overall theme for this Broadway season, honestly, is spectacle. This past season, we had a ton of jukebox musicals, right? We had Aunt Juliet, which was like a millennial mixtape. We had the Neil Diamond musical, ba ba ba. Whole audience getting into that. It's very jukeboxy. right now, and we're getting away from that, and I'm really happy about it. Also coming, Back to the Future, the musical.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. There is the flying car was like such a big deal, like the DeLorean time machine, that NPR did a story just about like how did they make the time machine and how did they make it fly?
It was the Phantom of the Opera chandelier of our generation. Is that what it is?
That's literally what I was thinking, Rob.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly, the flying DeLorean is exactly it. So it was originally supposed to go up in the West End in like 2015 because that's the year they go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But in this particular case, like they had a director change and there were some things that moved around. So I think it ended up like it was supposed to open on Broadway in like 2020 and then of course delays. So it ran on Broadway in 2023. It is touring now. I really liked a review of the opening of the tour in the LA Times. The show is not particularly good, but it is splashy and happy and loud. And there is a DeLorean that actually appears to fly. In other words, it is pure escapism.
All right,
So,
we'll take it.
I'm down for
Right?
that.
Yeah, I think people might like it, actually. I think it'll do well. Disney is bringing Beauty and the Beast back,
We love.
right?
Yeah.
30th anniversary.
I've seen Beauty and the Beast on ice when I was like 9 years old.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's a time.
that sounds really good. I want to see like Mrs. Potts on the skates. That sounds fantastic.
Lord help her if she falls over, though.
Yeah. Well, she's got cushion. But
True.
I think the thing about the Disney Beauty and the Beast and things like that is there is an ever-renewing audience for those shows.
So true.
Because there are always
Right.
kids that just weren't old enough for the theater last time it came, right? I have seen Beauty and the Beast because I was an evaluator for High School Musical Theater for so long, and it's beloved by high schools because it's family friendly but has a lot of good like character parts for kids. So it's kind of fun that this show is coming back. I think that will sell well, especially with families.
I saw West High School do The Little Mermaid this spring because my daughter, it killed. I mean, and it was the exact thing where it was all, kids who maybe saw the musical, saw the movie, and then they're high schoolers. And yeah, it played like gangbusters. So I can't imagine this won't do even better. Yeah.
And it's very fun.
Yeah.
So those are 3 that are based on movies. There's another few that are based on books. I know that Water for Elephants was technically also a movie with Robert Pattinson and Reese Witherspoon, right? Yeah.
Yes. Good call.
But I read the book and I really liked the book. It's coming. It's apparently beautiful. It's a beautiful show. Circus themed, again, spectacle. There's an elephant puppet in it that I read the New York Times review and it sort of seems like it might be similar to like War Horse. If you guys remember War Horse.
Sure.
Where you can see the puppet that's moving, but it's all about imagination. And I cried my eyes out at War Horse, right? Even though
It's not a real horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a circus-themed love story, Broadway musical.
Okay.
I feel like Broadway's gotten very into involving like circus performers, like cheerleaders, like Bring It On, people who are like flipping around the stage. Like Pippin was very circus-oriented a few years ago. So both like circus performers and like boxers. There was like the Rocky musical, right?
People want a show. They want to see, like you said, the spectacle, right?
Yes.
Sure, you can sing, but can you box while you're singing?
In
Can you
real
fight?
time. Great Gatsby is coming as well. Great Gatsby, I actually had a chance to see last fall in New York. It is very cool. 1920s, the flappers and the Art Deco. All the set is like very Art Deco-y. For those who didn't read Great Gatsby in high school, because I did not, the Great Gatsby story is about this bootlegger who's very wealthy on Long Island, I think, and he has this huge mansion and he's in love with Daisy, but Daisy is married unhappily. And so it's all observed through the viewpoint of Nick Carraway, who's this transplanted Midwesterner who helps Daisy and Gatsby get together and then just watches it all explode. Basically, everything kind of falls apart. But it's very glitzy glam. And the thing about when I saw it on Broadway is people in the audience were actually dressing up.
I love that.
Oh, that's cool.
I love that.
That was really fun. And the music in that is really, really good too. So that's a lot of fun.
I was going to say, I could see that as a musical. Like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing the newer movie, but that came out like in 2012 or something like that, And I was like so unimpressed. Leonardo DiCaprio, I was like, I'm so bored. But I could see it as a musical.
What's funny about Great Gatsby, and I think that this tends to happen sometimes with certain intellectual property, when copyright runs out, there were 2 Gatsby musicals that were supposed to go to Broadway. and only one of them did. This is the one that made it. But Kaylee Boyle, who came out of the Jerry Awards program here in Wisconsin, was in a different Gatsby cast for a different musical that was like in DC, and it was going to transfer to Broadway, but then this one did instead of
So
that one.
they're just kind of racing to Broadway. Who got there first? Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
It was like how there were 2 Wild Parties. There was more than one Phantom of the Opera musical, but only one is the one we know. So the same thing kind of happened with Gatsby, because I think the copyright is running out on the book. There is another original musical that I am excited to see tour, and I do not know if it will play well here. We're going to find out. It's called Kimberly Akimbo. The story is about this. She's 15, but she's aging very fast, like 4 times as fast as anybody usually does. And so she looks like she's in her 60s, even though she's a teenager. And it's like this coming-of-age story, and she's trying to fit in, even though she's different and dysfunctional family. But it's got the score from Janine Tesori, who did Shrek and Fun Home, and a story by David Lindsay-Abaire, who did Rabbit Hole, Good People. He also worked on Shrek. So I saw that one on Broadway, too, and I thought it was very moving and lovely. Some friends of mine saw it and absolutely hated it, walked out at intermission. So I think it's going to be maybe a little divisive, especially if you have low tolerance for seeing adults playing children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did hear people who loved it on Broadway. Like it has some passionate devotees for sure. So that's one I'd be interested in.
I love all the Shrek shout outs here. But also, walking out at intermission, that's a choice. That's
it's a move. And we do have a bunch of shows that are coming back. So Hamilton's coming back. We're going to have Hamilton for a couple of weeks. I was mentioning this to a friend of mine this week, and she's like, oh my God, I didn't see it yet. I haven't seen it yet. It's been here twice. And it always sits down for like 2 or 3 weeks. It will be here for another 2 weeks next January. So if you haven't seen Hamilton, that is an add-on to the season. When you get the Broadway subscription, you get 6 shows. Hamilton is an add-on, and there's 2 additional add-ons, Book of Mormon, which is coming for just a few days, and Riverdance, the 30th anniversary tour. So if y'all remember Riverdance, Lord of the Dance, no, the Irish Dance.
I remember when they split, when Riverdance and Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance, split, and there were two Irish Dance spectacles going, and I had to review both of them.
I'm going to
Sounds like
find
the best
that.
weekend of your life, Rob.
That's right. Yeah. A lot of people not moving the upper halves of their bodies for 2 hours. So
Yeah. I had a lot of fun. I was working on a story about Jerry Seinfeld recently, and I went back and found one of Rob's old reviews from the archive where he was basically like, Jerry Seinfeld just repeated the set that he did the last time. And I was like, this is why the archive is great.
I was so sassy when I was younger.
It was
what
great.
happened. Yeah.
Bring it back. Bring back the sass.
I can be sassy.
So that's the Broadway season. I think that those are going to be the biggest ticket sellers. And I wanted to just give a really quick shout out to the rest of sort of the Overture Presents season, some things that are coming that people might be interested in. The National Geographic series is coming back. It was gone for a year because like Nat Geo got bought by Disney, and there was a whole thing about like where they could come and where they were on a tour. But now Nat Geo is back, and everyone is thrilled about it. People love that series. It's like cool photographers from all over the world. There are 2 of the guys from Whose Line Is It Anyway? You know, they do the live improv.
Fun.
Very funny. Like I saw it a few years ago with the whole Whose Line cast. This is just 2 of them, but I think that that's going to be really fun. For all of my Gleeks out there, Matthew Morrison is coming. He's going to do his own show.
Cool.
David Sedaris is coming back. Jazz at Lincoln Center is coming back. We'll have the final Harry Potter movie with music live by the MSO. The weird thing about that is like people will stand up when the movie is done, even though the orchestra is still playing, because they forget there's live musicians up there, which is weird, but happens. And there's a mini Fringe festival coming back in late February. That includes like a musical based on bathroom graffiti and naked musicians and Baby Wants Candy doing an improvised musical. It's going to be there's a lot of fun stuff that's coming in the season, and the whole announcement is out as of today.
I love it. Well, sounds like a trip. And Lindsay, this has been such a treat having you on a Friday News Roundup. Thanks so much for walking us through all of the offerings that Overture has coming this year and next. It sounds like it's going to be a blast.
Can I just ask, of the ones I mentioned, is there one that you definitely want to see?
Ooh, I mean, I'm very drawn to the Broadway ones. I've seen Book of Mormon. I've seen Hamilton. I'm really interested by this Back to the Future one.
What about you, Rev? Are you gonna see
I think the Kimberly Akimbo, because that's one I had been hearing about. John Hodgman was raving about it on his podcast, and like I was like, okay, that seems really interesting. And the The lead actress, I think, was supposed to be phenomenal. So, and it's something, like you said, a little different from all the movies and IP, which is, totally great. But it's nice to see something original getting a national tour.
Yeah, I think it's hard for those original stories to make it all the way to Broadway just because it's a big stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I love the theater because we're always being transported into a new world, and we are going to transport ourselves into another world of news. But first, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you looking for a job at an inclusive workspace? Open Foundation's LGBTQ+ Affirming Career Fair is coming up, and they welcome job seekers looking for just that. They're hosting a free career fair featuring employers committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's on Wednesday, April 23rd from 2 to 6 p.m. at Madison College South Goodman, where you can connect with employers who are actively hiring and value LGBTQ+ inclusion. Here are some of the glowing testimonials from job seekers who attended last year's fair. Quote, "The Open Career Fair was incredibly helpful in my job search. It helped highlight orgs that valued safe space for queer identities." And quote, "The Open Career Fair was the first time I felt comfortable meeting a group of potential employers as myself. Not worrying about having to come out during each conversation was an inexplicable relief." For more details, visit openmadison.org. Jones Dairy Farm makes products that are perfect any time of the day, but they're especially awesome for spring holidays like Easter and Mother's Day. We're talking fully cooked meatballs for easy, amazing meals or delicious appetizers. Naturally smoked hams that feed a crowd and are so easy since they're fully cooked. Out-of-this-world bacon that's dry-aged and award-winning. And all-natural sausage that makes breakfast easy. Jones Dairy is a family-owned company out of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and they've been making mealtimes better since 1889. With high quality and amazing flavor, their products are available at most grocery stores, including Costco. Go check out their product finder on jonesdairyfarm.com to find out where to find Jones near you.
Alrighty, we are back. And Rob, you've got our next story.
I do. A little bit of drama to continue our theater theme, but there's a big shakeup in Madison city government this week. On Monday, the city announced that Mary Beth Witzel-Bale had resigned as city clerk. She's been city clerk since 2006, which means she oversaw more than 60 elections while in office. And the press release the city sent out was very complimentary and justifiably celebrating all that she's done for the city. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway was quoted as saying, "Mary Beth embodies the motto she brought to the clerk's office, which was, 'We exist to assist,' and I wish her the very best in future endeavors." But of course, if you've been following local news, there's another side to this story. Witzel-Bale had been on administrative leave since March amid a city probe into why 193 absentee ballots went uncounted in the November 5th election. The Wisconsin Elections Commission voted earlier this year to open a probe into why the city failed to count those ballots, as well as whether Witzel-Bale failed to comply with the law or abused her discretion. And the progressive law firm Law Forward has filed a suit against the city on behalf of 4 of those uncounted voters, asking for $175,000 for each voter. I mean, so this is serious business, and it's ongoing. We've got multiple investigations at the city and state level.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's not the only high-profile error involving the clerk's office recently. Her office mistakenly sent duplicate absentee ballots to about 2,200 Madison voters in September, which she chalked up to human error. But that's just one of the things that drew the attention of Republicans who are always trying to feed a voter fraud narrative, like U.S. Congressman Tom Tiffany. And then her office gave false advice to Nino Amato, who was challenging in the District 19 City Council race. They told him that he didn't need to live in the district until at least 28 days after the election, which is not true. And turned out that Amato narrowly lost to Alderman John Guguer by just 8 votes, so it really ended up not being an issue. But still, that could have been a real trouble spot if he had won. So, even though these are all isolated incidents, that's a lot of bad press for the city clerk's office in the city in the last year. So right now, City Attorney Michael Haas, who is a fan of the show, will serve as interim clerk until a permanent replacement can be found. So I know what you think, Haley. This is sort of not a surprise exactly, given, like I said, given all the bad press the clerk's office has gotten.
Yeah, I'm just like, poor Mary Beth. Like, I don't think she's a sacrificial lamb in this case at all. Like, as you outlined, there was kind of a series of missteps that led us to this situation. It still sucks when someone loses their job after almost 20 years, right? That's pretty wild. But it's some pretty high profile mistakes that got us here. And that's it's hard because, again, these people do a lot of really good work. We exist to assist, and they do assist, and they do a lot of really good work. But also, it's a very stressful time. It's a time when our elections are under extreme scrutiny, especially in Wisconsin, everywhere in Wisconsin. So it's like you have to be on your game. You have to be on your A+++ game. And that just wasn't happening in Madison. And it's kind of a bummer to see. And it's a sad situation. But also, again, it was just misstep after misstep after misstep and just bad look for the city. So I'm not surprised, I guess, by any of this happening.
Yeah, I think for me, once that lawsuit was filed by a progressive law firm, that was kind of the writing on the wall that the status quo was not going to continue there.
It's a tough situation for sure, but there's we'll see who takes over the spot next. That's all I'll say. I was gonna say There's always a bright side. I don't really know what the bright side is. Maybe I'm just being hopelessly optimistic. But yeah, this is a big story that we've been watching unfold for a few weeks and for a while. And, another story that we've been watching unfold is happening at our city and county level. It has to do with a local nonprofit, Urban Triage. And we're going to dig right into that story. But first, let's take another break.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. We've all set health goals: lose weight, exercise more, eat better. But without a plan, those goals often fade. That may have happened to you. It has definitely happened to me. And that's where Prolon comes in. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet gives you a science-backed, structured approach to stay on track and see real results. And now Prolon is upping their game with the new next-gen 5-day program, delivering the same science-backed benefits in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. Next Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top U.S. medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. I've been doing the 5-day program, and I feel so much better. I really enjoy the tasty energy bars, the snacks and soups, and the fact that I can enjoy meals, even though the calorie count is super low. The flavors and textures are excellent. An olive oil snack here, broccoli and quinoa soup there, hibiscus tea, a yummy nut bar. It's got the benefits of a 5-day fast, but doesn't have the challenge of doing it with pure liquids. It's a system reset. And also, I know this sounds funny, but it's not. The packaging and directions are fantastic, clear, and well-organized and thoughtful. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering CityCast listeners 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/city. That's PROLONLIFE.com/city to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/city.
And now, 2 pigeons bemoaning the fact you can choose the TV you want with DirecTV.
So now they can pick out their favorite entertainment when they sign up and save money?
You mean if you like sports?
You can get a sports pack.
What about entertainment?
Entertainment pack.
It's like finding an old pizza with your favorite toppings, which for me would be pineapple and toenails.
Pineapple?
Pay for the TV you want, not the TV you don't. Genre pack starting at $34.99 a month. Visit DirecTV.com for more information. New residential customers only. Local channels vary by market. Services renew monthly unless you cancel online. Credit card required. Restrictions apply.
All right, we are back, and a story that's been getting a lot of attention online and in headlines these past couple of weeks has to do with Dane County and local nonprofit Urban Triage. And just so we're all covered and starting on the same base, who is Urban Triage? Put very simply, they are a local nonprofit that helps empower minority families and individuals through programming, education, and resources, aka like cold hard cash. Like they are doing the work, they are giving people money to help pay their bills, they are, giving folks education, they're doing these programmings, especially when it comes to housing. So that's a little bit of background on them. So what's going on? Why are we talking about them? Well, a very high level overview of the situation is this. The county received scrutiny over the procedures, or perhaps lack thereof, when it came to awarding contracts to Urban Triage. Urban Triage has been the recipient of millions of dollars of contracts from the county. So just for context there. An investigation published recently by News 3 reported that Urban Triage was awarded contracts that exceeded $100,000 without the required full vote of the Dane County Board. This investigation also unveiled some inconsistencies on employment dates with Urban Triage's CEO, Brandy Grayson, like things that she had written on her resume. And to be clear, this investigation does not allege any financial misdoing by Urban Triage. It's really pointing out the opacity on the county's end. But even with that, people online have really latched on to the smaller part of this story, i.e. Grayson's inconsistencies on like resume dates. And according to Urban Triage, they held a press conference earlier this week. This extra anger and scrutiny over their organization, they say, is part of a larger and ongoing attack on their credibility that has been put on by several men in the community. And these men include recent city council candidates who we just mentioned in our past segment, Nino Amato and Sean Burke, as well as current Dane County Supervisor Jeff Wigand. And Wigand is quoted in the News 3 piece calling for a forensic audit of Urban Triage, making some pretty baseless claims about waste, fraud, and abuse. We know who else likes to make baseless claims about waste, fraud, and abuse. I won't go there right now. And if you need to know more about Wigand, you might remember him as the Dane County Supervisor who last year made headlines for saying that, quote, sin is the root cause of homelessness. I can't unpack that on this show. We do not have enough time to dig into the victim blaming and dog whistling that is in that statement. Nevertheless, we move on. Urban Triage's board president, Dana Pelabon, who you might remember ran for Dane County executive recently, said the questioning surrounding Urban Triage's funding is spreading misinformation and casting unnecessary doubt on an organization that is truly bettering our community. And another sort of like dog whistle moment that I've seen pop up are people scrutinizing Brandy Grayson's salary as CEO. So according to publicly available records, Grayson makes just over $292,000 in her position. And like, yeah, there's no way around it. That's a lot of money, like good for her. But when put into context, like our good friends at Madison 365 did, it's really not that wild of a figure. Madison 365, they examined publicly available records of 73 nonprofit organizations who contract with Dane County. And they found that, quote, Grayson's salary is higher than the $198,000 average. However, those organizations spend on average 7% on their budget on executive compensation. At 2.9%, Urban Triage's spending on executive salaries is relatively low, unquote. So when you're putting it into the bigger picture, it's like not that big of a deal. Anyways, there's a lot to unpack with this story. I have a lot of thoughts about the situation, how it was handled, and how we move forward. But I mean, I wanted to throw it to you, Rob. Like, had you heard about this story? What's your take?
Yeah, I'd seen that Channel 3000 investigation, and I had heard a little bit about Wigand calling for an audit last year, which I believe his fellow supervisors didn't go for.
Yeah, they shot it down. They said no.
Yeah, and things were clarifying to me when I saw that phrase, waste, fraud, and abuse, because it's like, it seems like he wants to do a mini Doge here in Dane County, because that's what Elon Musk and Doge that say about when they're going into these federal agencies is like, oh, there's all this waste, fraud, and abuse. And then they never find any fraud. And their examples of waste and abuse is just like, they don't like money being spent on things they don't like. They don't like money being spent on climate change or DEI or other things like that. There's no actual waste or abuse. It's just priorities they don't agree with. And you get the sense that that's what's going on here, is that it's just what the money's being spent on, not how it's being spent necessarily. I mean, obviously we don't know, but you're calling for investigations and a lot of scrutiny without any evidence of wrongdoing. Is, as you said, that Channel 3000 investigation was really about the County Department of Human Services and how they handled it. I mean, urban triage had nothing to do with that. And so it's blown up into a lot of drama online on both sides, I think. But like when you sort of look through the smoke, it does seem like there's a lot being made without any real evidence to back it up.
Yeah, there are a lot of statements being made without solid facts. And, also to be clear, this was laid out in the Madison 365 article too, is that like Urban Triage had gone through a federal audit recently and it came back clean. They had accounting firm Corporate Facts go through all of their documents and whatnot because they had faced scrutiny in the past. I don't know if you guys remember too, like last year, there was a big article that came out in the Cap Times talking about how Urban Triage had overspent on their budget by $100,000 for a specific program. And again, there's a lot to unpack with that story too, moving parts where Urban Triage was kind of like filling in a void for another charitable organization that had to back out of the contract. And they also had some software changes on their end that kind of left them lagging behind when it came to their reporting on those financials. But again, like even after that came out, there was an investigation. They did have their financials checked out and everything came back fine. It's frustrating too. Again, like for me, the point has been made online time and time again. It's like, why are we spending so much time talking about Brandy's salary and how much that she's making as a CEO? We don't talk about that for any other CEOs in our community, in the county, in the city. There's a lot of focus on like, why are we scrutinizing this Black woman who's putting in the work? And, to me, it's just frustrating to have to see them have to come up and defend their work time and time again when they really are making a difference in the community and when they really are one of just truly very few and far between organizations in our community that are really giving people the resources, aka like cash money that they need to survive in our city. Like they're helping people pay their bills. Like they're not doing anything nefarious, like why are people so pressed about this? I don't know. It's wild to me.
It was interesting that Dana Pellebun sort of trying to seize the advantage and sort of point out or allege that there's this larger smear campaign going on against Urban Triage and rather than just responding to all the allegations. And so it shifts the narrative in a really interesting way that's worth watching.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see this stuff unfold too, like you can see kind of looking back at the past reporting and whatnot, like how Urban Triage has been framed in the news and whatnot. And like, who are the people making these calls? And Dana's pulling back the court curtain and saying, it's these three men who are making the calls, and we've been dealing with this for years. And this is just another situation that was brought upon by these three guys who are for some reason obsessed with Urban Triage. So yeah, I'm curious to see how we move forward from this and if we will learn any lessons.
Indeed.
Speaking of stories that are catching fire, we've got some literal flames to talk about. Rob, you've got this story.
Yes, a very simple message. Don't recycle your batteries. That was the message from the city after about 4,000 pounds of recyclables caught fire on Tuesday. And I put pictures in the Madison Minutes newsletter. It was an impressive blaze. And what happened was the driver of a recycling truck noticed smoke billowing from the back of the truck. And so he followed protocol, which is you just dump all that stuff out of the truck onto the street and call the fire department. And when the fire department got there, like it was a full-on blaze. Like it was engulfed, as we say in the news business. It was pretty wild. Nobody was hurt. And then when the firefighters extinguished the blaze, they found an old computer among the debris. And so they can't positively determine the cause of the fire. City officials say that fires in recyclables like that, they often start when people throw batteries or electronics like the computer into the recycling. A battery can spark and cause a fire. I mean, even those little tiny button batteries that you see when you get those really annoying musical greeting cards that won't shut off. Even
I
that
love
can
those.
I kind of figured you would, Haley. I gotta say,
because I'm the worst.
That seemed like your jam. Yeah, no, it's just it's a specific, a specific.
Calling me out, Rob. Calling me
There you
out.
go. Yeah,
He said I'm sassy. I can be sassy.
Can't wait for my birthday. So even those little things can spark and cause a fire. So I wrote about this in yesterday's newsletter, like I said, and one reader wrote in and said, "So does this mean I just throw them in the trash?" Dude, no.
Have you learned nothing?
We learned nothing. I think he was trolling me, but no, there are several drop-off sites around town where you can safely dispose of batteries and electronics. And another reader, Virginia Schultz, who I'll shout out by name, wrote in and said that she goes around her apartment building and collects all the batteries from her neighbors and then takes it to the drop-off site, which is awesome. So good on you, Virginia. That's the kind of spirit we need here in Madison.
I love that. Wow. Community coming together to take your old batteries. I love that. That's beautiful. What a wholesome note for us to end on here.
That's right.
Rob, thank you so much for rounding up the news with me this week.
Thank you, Haley.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm executive producer Haley Sperling. Bianca Martin is your host. We're produced by Jade Isiri Ramos and Elizabeth Kama. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Additional music this week was provided by Ron Gamache, Ruben Ramos, Alex Maz, Demay, Abbas Premji, and Wendy Marchini from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor. You can always get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes. And hey, if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone you take to the theater? Anyone want to see Back to the Future? All right, we'll see you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye.